I got married in 2010, and like they always say, you need to marry your friend, marry someone you know. So yes, I married my friend from childhood. We were in the same youth church together. That was in 2010, we got married. And I was married for 6 years before the marriage collapsed.
Oh, okay.
Well, it was nice, we went through all the ups and downs, just like any other marriage, right? Marriage, they say it's like a ship, it's a relationship, so it's like a ship. So you relate to people around you like how you relate to someone in a ship. So having a partner, having a spouse, having a wife, you go through all the challenges. Like I said, it's a ship. You go through turbulence, you go through the storm, things like that. So we also went through all those phases. And for me, I think the issue of compatibility, setting at a point. After 6 years, we couldn't handle the challenges again. So we had to call it quit. It was a very difficult one, but I needed to make that bold decision to save the family. I often hear people talk about, well, I want to stay because of the kids, I want to do this, but for me, I don't think that's the best. Because you also need your happiness. She needs her happiness, the kids also need some form of happiness. So what is this thing about staying in a toxic or staying in a relationship where you don't enjoy it, you are not comfortable, you are not experiencing what couples are supposed to experience? And you do that because of the kids. I mean, you rather be causing a lot of damage, right, to their emotions, staying in it than moving on.
When you say you were not compatible, what exactly are you talking about?
Right, so you realize if in any relationship, any form of friendship, mentorship, internship, fellowship, all the ships, right? There's this thing about getting along, You can be friends with someone, you quarrel, you be upset, you vent, but you still come back on track and then you move on. So the moment you are not able to come back on that same track, you realize that your path will be going the opposite direction. That is where compatibility comes in.
Was it more of you two couldn't sit down and talk about your issues and iron it out? Was it an issue of egos coming to play? What was it exactly?
Right. So just like I explained, you be in a relationship, you have issues, you talk about it, and then you move on. So when you are having issues, you talk about it, and you are still not able to move on, then really there is no point. Really, there is no point. And for me, I think when you are in a relationship and there are issues and you talk about it and both parties forget no, because I mean the mind will always play some of the things you may be able to forgive, but you cannot forget. And that is when the major issues set in, because every time you remember something, it will trigger a part of you to vent, to moan, to fight, to quarrel, and things like that. So if you are in a relationship and you discuss, you talk about it, you sit down, you do all those things, and you are still not able to come back on track, then you need to move on.
So you called for an end to the marriage?
Yes, I did.
Did it affect you in any way when you were calling for an end, or because you called for it, you had an upper hand?
Right. I would say in any relationship, toxic, whatever it is, if you are parting ways, you will definitely feel some level of pain. Anyone that tells you, I left, I didn't feel it, I wasn't hurt, no, they will be lying to you. Every single person will go through some level of pain. But it depends on why you are leaving the reasons why you think is the right time for you to leave. So I would say the pain, the hurt, the emotional tremor and all those things will come at different levels, right? So one can be 80 or 90% hurt, 50, 40 in that level. So yes, I was a bit hurt. I knew where I was going. I took that decision because of my future, and I didn't want to stay in it to kind of kill my dreams, my aspirations, and where I was going as a person. So yes, I was hurt.
What about the children? How did they take it? How many children do you have together?
So we had 3 strong boys.
Wow, that's great.
Yes.
How did they take it?
At the time, I would say it was a bit tough for them because they would always see daddy in the evening, in the morning, and then now they will not see daddy in the evening. Occasionally, I'll pick them from school. They will come over for weekends, vacations. They could see the trend has changed. Well, I can see they were going through some level of, emotional pain. And the only thing you could do is just to keep assuring them that daddy is there for you, mommy is there for you. And at that point, I don't think you have to go into a lot of scientific explanation to them because they wouldn't understand. So you just have to keep assuring them that, hey, anytime you need me, I'll be there for you and things like that. Yeah, so they also went through some level of pain. Every party within that union will suffer.
So your wife then, now your ex-wife, how did she take it? Because you initiated the process.
Right.
Some couples, when one initiates, the other will say, I don't want a divorce, and so I'm not signing the papers. How was yours like?
Yes, I mean, just like you said, it was pretty much the same. For me, I think it came to her as a shock because for me, I've always been an advocate of close union. I never ever plan to, have divorce on my CV, but so I kept telling her, look, I'm not a candidate for divorce. I really want this thing to work. So when it got to that point when I made that decision, I think it was a big blow to her. I would say she also went through some level of, pain, hurt, and she had to take it.
Did you try to reconcile it, probably try and see if you could work out when you started the divorce proceedings?
Well, I did a couple of times. Some pastors came in, family members, and things like that. But you see, there's this thing I want to put out there, right? You don't work on a relationship when it is not working.
Okay. You don't work on it at all?
You don't work on a relationship
Why?
When it's not. You work on your relationship when it is working. It's just like a vehicle. You need to go for regular maintenance and servicing. If you skip it and the vehicle starts developing issues, it will be issue after issue, issue after issue. So I always tell couples, look, when the relationship is nice, when you are in your high, that is when you need to work on it. Sit down and talk about improvements, servicing, maintenance. Where can I improve? What should I do? And things like that. The moment it starts developing issues, when pastors come in, family members, friends, it means it's more like washing your white linen
in public.
In public. Everybody knows your issue. And you know how communication goes. By the time it gets to the fourth person, the main issue had been distorted. Everybody is talking about this and that. Friends who don't even have the necessary and relevant experience will be advising you. Some will mislead you and things like that. So you only work your relationship when it is working.